Clara hadn't been back since the funeral. Her sister's house stood exactly as she remembered it. Silent, still, and watching. When she turned the key, the door creaked open with the weight of something that had been waiting too long. The smell of dust and perfume still lingered in the air. Her sister's scent, faint but unmistakable. Every step Clara took felt like trespassing through a memory she didn't belong in anymore. Her phone lost signal the moment she crossed the threshold. No more service, no messages, only silence. The house was filled with mirrors. She had forgotten how many her sister owned. Tall mirrors, small ones, framed in gold, wood, silver. Every hallway seemed to end in a reflection. But as she walked deeper inside, she realized something was off. The mirrors didn't reflect her, not completely. In one, she was missing her necklace. In another, her reflection was smiling when she wasn't. Each version looked almost right, almost. Clara tried to laugh it off. Grief does strange things to the mind, but the air felt wrong, heavy, like it was full of unspoken words. In the living room, a massive antique mirror stood covered in a black cloth. She remembered it. The forbidden one, her sister used to call it. Bought at an estate sale years ago. Clara had always hated that thing. Her sister used to joke that the mirror showed things the world forgot to keep alive. There was a note on the frame now, yellowed, written in her sister's handwriting. Don't uncover it after dark. Clara's hand trembled as she touched the cloth. It was damp, cold, like it had been breathing underneath. Then she saw something movement behind the fabric. Slow, human. Her pulse spiked. There's no one here, she whispered. But when she leaned closer, she heard it. A faint tap from the other side of the mirror. 3 knocks. Then silence. Clara backed away, heart hammering, and the lights flickered. All at once, every mirror in the house seemed to hum. A low, vibrating sound like static. And from beneath the black cloth, she heard her sister's voice, soft, gentle. Clara, you made it home. The cloth moved, just slightly, as if something beneath it was smiling. Clara didn't sleep that night. Every creak of the house sounded like footsteps just beyond the door. The kind that stop when you listen, the kind that resume when you don't. She sat in the kitchen, wrapped in a blanket, staring down the hallway toward the covered mirror. The air felt wrong again, like it was thick, full of something invisible that pressed against her skin. At 3:11 a.m., the ticking clock began again. No batteries, no mechanism, just the sound of time returning where it shouldn't. Clara rose slowly, drawn by something she couldn't name. The black cloth swayed, though there was no wind. Her sister's voice whispered again, muffled through the fabric, almost pleading now. Please, don't be afraid of me. Clara's throat tightened. Eliza, she whispered. Silence. Then knock, 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 knock. 3 slow taps from inside the mirror. Her pulse stuttered. She reached out, trembling fingers gripping the edge of the cloth, and before she could stop herself, she pulled it down. The mirror was flawless. No dust, no cracks. Its surface shimmered faintly, like water beneath moonlight. And her reflection was smiling. It wasn't a normal smile. Too wide, too practiced, too familiar. Clara's reflection raised its hand slowly and pressed its palm against the glass. Clara hesitated, then mirrored the motion. Their fingertips aligned, and the mirror rippled, distorting like liquid. Then, the reflection blinked. Once, twice, but Clara hadn't. She froze. Her breath fogged the glass. The reflection leaned closer, tilting its head in perfect, unnatural curiosity. Its lips moved, forming words Clara couldn't hear until she realized it wasn't mouthing them. It was speaking inside her mind. "You shouldn't have survived." Clara stumbled backward, knocking over the lamp. The room plunged into flickering darkness. The mirror began to pulse, glowing faintly from within, showing flickers of other rooms, bedrooms, hospitals, corridors she'd never seen. And in every reflection, she was there, dead, lying motionless. Her heart raced. "Stop it!" she screamed. The reflection tilted its head, smiled, softening, almost kindly. "You took my life," it whispered. "Now you'll see what it was meant to be." The glass cracked, not from outside, but from within. Hairline fractures spread like veins, and something moved beneath the surface. Clara, run. But as she reached the stairs, she saw her reflection again, not in the mirror this time, but in every window, every metal surface, every picture frame, dozens of versions of herself staring back, all whispering the same words in unison, voices overlapping like a choir of broken memories. "She died for you." The lights went out, and from the darkness behind her, one reflection spoke louder than the rest, not from the mirror, but from right next to her ear. "Now it's your turn."
The storm outside hadn't been forecasted. No rain, no thunder, just light. Flashes that came without sound, as if lightning was being born inside the house. Clara stood at the base of the stairs, clutching the banister, trying not to look at the mirror. But it was too late. The thing had learned her gaze, fed on it. Every time she blinked, the cracks grew deeper. She whispered to herself, "It's not real." The mirror whispered back, "Neither are you." The voice came not from the reflection, but from the glass itself, vibrating in low, broken syllables that made her teeth ache. The air around it warped, bending light like heat on asphalt. Behind the cracked surface, faint movement stirred. Shapes. A hand, face, her face. The reflection no longer mimicked her. It moved freely now, head tilted, expression unreadable. Blood trickled down from one of the cracks, crawling slowly down the frame. Clara took a step forward before realizing she couldn't stop. Her legs moved on their own as though being gently guided. The reflection mirrored her but backward. When she lifted her left hand, it lifted its right, perfectly synchronized. Then in one single blink they switched. Her reflection turned its back to the glass. And Clara's breath hitched when she saw what was behind it, a dark, endless room. It wasn't her living room's reflection anymore. It was something deeper, wider. A corridor of mirrors stretching into infinity, each one containing different versions of her, sleeping, screaming, drowning. The reflection turned to face her again, but its eyes were pitch black now, the pupils swallowing the whites completely. "So you lived my death," it said softly. "Let me live your life." The mirror breathed. The glass expanded. And from inside, a hand, pale, wet, trembling as pushed through. Clara screamed, stumbling backward as her own hand reached out from the reflection, gripping her wrist. The touch was freezing, strong enough to burn. She tried to pull away, but it dragged her closer, closer, until her face was inches from the glass. The air between them shimmered, thin, alive, breaking apart like wet paper. She saw it then, her reflection's lips moving in perfect sync with her own heartbeat. "Let's trade places." The mirror shattered, but there was no sound. Only the rush of air, as if the world itself had inhaled. When the light returned, Clara was standing in front of the broken mirror. Her hands were covered in blood, but the reflection standing across from her smiled and whispered through shards that no longer moved with her, "Thank you." The reflection turned away and walked out of the room, leaving Clara trapped inside the glass, pounding on the other side unheard.
Clara opened her eyes. The air tasted like metal. The walls shimmered faintly, as if made of smoke pressed thin. Everything looked familiar. Her sister's house, but reversed, drained of color, moving slower than time should allow. She pressed her palms to the cold surface before her smoothed, glass-like, and realized what she was touching wasn't a wall. It was the mirror, the other side. Her breath fogged the surface, but only from her side. The reflection on the other end, the other Clara, didn't breathe at all. Instead, the reflection smiled faintly and walked through the house. Her house, now alive, warm, filled with color again. Clara screamed, pounding the glass, but her voice was swallowed, muted by the heavy stillness around her. No more sound, no air. Air only, the low, rhythmic pulse of something that felt like a heartbeat. The house's heartbeat. She turned, trying to find a way out, and froze. The mirrors in this world weren't still. They moved, swaying softly, like curtains underwater. And in each one, she saw fragments of herself. One crying, one sleeping, one still trapped in the car from the night of the accident. Clara's stomach turned cold. That memory. The accident. She'd buried it. Or maybe it had buried her. You died that night. The voice came from behind her. She turned slowly. It was Eliza. Her sister, pale, perfect, standing just a few feet away. Her eyes were the same, soft but too still. You weren't meant to wake up, Eliza whispered. She was. Clara stepped back. That thing out there. It's not me. Eliza smiled sadly. No, Clara. It's what you were supposed to be if you hadn't crossed over. The mirrors around them flickered, showing brief flashes of the real world. The other Clara laughing, answering a phone call, sunlight pouring through the windows. Clara pressed against the glass again, desperate. I want to go back. Elisa shook her head slowly. You can't. You belong where reflections go when the living forget them. The house groaned, a deep, hollow sound that rattled the floor. The walls pulsed, and one by one, the other mirrors began to turn, their surfaces warping into circular holes of black. Through them, hands began to crawl, pale, trembling hands that looked like hers, all reaching toward her. Eliza stepped back into the shadows, her voice now echoing from every direction. Every reflection is a memory that never died, and now they all remember you. The mirrors began to hum, resonating like wind through a graveyard. The hands clawed closer, their touch freezing her skin. Clara screamed and ran, but the space folded on itself, looping endlessly. Every hallway led her back to the same place. The mirror she came through, except this time, on the other side, the reflection wasn't walking away. It was waiting, smiling and holding a hammer. Clara could see the real world just beyond the mirror's surface. The reflection, her reflection, stood in her living room, staring directly into the glass. The hammer glinted under the low light. You took everything from me, the reflection said softly, its voice muffled but clear, as though echoing inside Clara's skull. My breath, my pulse, my life. Clara pounded on the mirror until her hands bled. The cracks beneath her palms widened, cutting deep into the glass-like veins. Please, that's not me. I never wanted this. The reflection tilted its head, mirroring Clara's panic perfectly. Then it smiled, too calm, too human. Then, give it back. The hammer struck. Glass splintered outward, shards floating in slow motion. The reflection reached through, its fingers gripping Clara Estris, again stronger this time, unbreakable. The boundary between worlds shimmered, and with each pulse, Clara felt her heartbeat slowing. One world taking from the other, one life draining into the next. She looked down and saw her. Reflection's skin began to glow faintly, color and warmth returning, while her own body turned translucent, edges fading like smoke. No, she gasped. No, I'm real. The reflection leaned in until their faces were only inches apart. Its eyes gleamed with something ancient, something hungry. Not anymore. It pulled her forward, dragging her halfway through the glass. The sound of cracking bones and tearing fabric filled the silence. Clara screamed, a hollow sound swallowed by static. For a moment, both were trapped between two faces pressed on opposite sides of the same surface, mouths open, screaming the same sound. Then the mirror exploded, shards scattered like frozen light. Everything went black. The house was calm. Dust floated in the quiet air. On the floor lay the shattered remains of the mirror, and among the shards, a single figure, Clara, breathing, awake. She stood, dazed, her hand trembling as she touched her reflection in a nearby picture frame. The glass was unbroken. The woman staring back smiled faintly, perfectly in sync this time. Relief flickered across Clara's face. She stepped back, wiping the blood from her palms. Then she noticed something strange. Every other mirror in the house, the small ones, the hallway ones, even the one in the kitchen, had gone black. Not cracked, not dirty, just black. And as she moved, her reflection didn't follow. It stayed still. Then, slowly, it smiled. You took everything from me, it whispered. Her eyes widened. No. Now, it's your turn. The lights flickered out. The wind outside dies. The fog returns. And from the dark, a soft whisper, Clara's voice, faint and distant. Don't uncover it after dark.